Hey guys, it's Nick from Arch City Poker and ArchCityPLO.com. I apologize first of all for my voice. I'm trying to get over a nasty chest cold. That's why I haven't posted a video in quite a few days. I'm trying to get on a Tuesday, Thursday type of schedule for videos each week for this channel. And like I said, very soon, if you haven't seen the video already, when I talk about Arch City Poker expanding, I'm going to add a Patreon page, have a lot more content for you guys. But for now, we're going to talk about pocket aces, how to play them. This is a hand that a lot of players are scared to get for some reason. It's the best hand you can get pre-flop. Obviously, you want this hand every single time you get dealt a hand. The reason that players get scared is because they've lost stacks playing ace-ace, I would say, a little bit uh, too straightforward in a lot of spots. And a lot of times when it's obvious that your opponent has you beat, players will overvalue absolute hand strength with pocket aces just because they think it's the best hand pre-flop. They shouldn't be losing with it post-flop, but that's not the case. You're going to lose sometimes when you have the strongest hand pre-flop. So pre-flop in general, we always want to open the pot for a raise. If we're facing limpers, we always want to raise. Don't get cute with pocket aces. Go ahead and raise, um, along with other strong hands at the top of your range there. Now, if you're facing a raise yourself, then you want to go ahead and 3-bet, no matter if you're in position or out of position. It's the best hand you could possibly have. Again, we want to go ahead and 3-bet and not get tricky and flat. 4-betting, to keep it simple, if you're out of position, go ahead and 4-bet facing a 3-bet. You lower the stack to pot ratio and take away the player's positional advantage that did 3-bet you, that is in position on you. So I think it makes a lot of sense to go ahead and 4-bet when you are out of position at 100% frequency. Now, the one scenario where I think you can get what I think players would assume is tricky is when you are facing a 3-bet and you are in position. So usually that's going to occur when a player 3-bets from the small blind or the big blind. I think you can do some calling in position with ace-ace against a 3-bet. The main reason for that is we don't want to fold out hands like pocket queens, pocket jacks, ace queen. We want those hands to stay in the pot, and they'll stay in the pot a lot more often if they are in position. But if they're out of position, they're going to peg you for having ace-ace when you do 4-bet, especially in position, and we don't want to fold those hands out. We want to take advantage of our positional advantage, so you want to go ahead and call sometimes against a 3-bet in position. I would say generally you want to mostly 4-bet still, but you can call against a 3-bet in position. And I would say generally the more straightforward the 3-better is, the more that you can peg his range as being very high pair heavy, very high card heavy. He's not a tricky player post-flop. That's the kind of player we want to get more involved with post-flop and win more money off of him. Now, if it is a player that you think is never going to fold like a hand like pocket queens or ace king pre-flop for any amount of money, then go ahead and just 4-bet and get it all in pre-flop when you have your biggest edge there. Post-flop, it's really going to depend on, again, stack to pot ratio and board textures. Obviously an 8-7-6 board texture is not one that you're likely going to get 3 streets of value with ace-ace. If you're getting your opponents to call all 3 streets, they very often are going to have a better hand than just your one pair. A lot of this will depend, like I said, on how much money's left behind, though. Generally, if the stack to pot ratio is 7 or higher, so there's still a fair amount of money left behind, then you're very often not going to be able to get 3 streets of value. You're probably going to get 2. You might be able to sneak in an exploitative small sizing somewhere and get a 3rd street. The only way I would try to stack off with ace-ace with that high of an SPR is against a player that's just an absolute call station, a player that might overvalue top pair for like 200 bigs, a player that might overvalue any kind of pair. We want to go ahead and widen our value range against these players when we're betting for 3 streets, and we want to cut back on the bluffs. Now, if the SPR is a lot lower, 6 or lower, especially when you start getting down into 4, 3, 2, when you're in like 3-bet pots, for example, then we very often are going to be able to commit and stack off over 3 streets. Like I said, as long as the board texture doesn't run out ridiculously bad for your hand and you don't think you're ever getting worse to call at that point, but for the most part, you're going to be able to stack off. And in those lower SPR pots, you don't need to bet as large post-flop because there's already so much money in the pot. There's not as much money left behind. But when the SPR is a little bit higher, then you do have room to bet a little bit larger on some textures. But That's going to be pretty much it for the general suggestion on how to play pocket aces pre-flop and post-flop. Very simple, but I think very to the point and informative, and it'll help a lot of you guys out that are trying to, I think, either get too tricky or creative with this hand or are too fearful of how you play it post-flop, essentially. I think this video will help you out. So, again, apologize for the voice. I'm going to try to get back on a regular schedule here, but if you guys have any questions or comments, let me know down in the box below. Click on the subscribe button. Click on the link to archcityplo.com. Go over and visit that site if you want to learn how to improve your live PLO games. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.